Oh, hey, how you doing out there? Welcome to another edition of Top 10 Worst Things of All Time. An odyssey of confrontational lists that not only provide entertainment, but perhaps a little enlightenment about the overall direction of our society and the people within it as we steamroll our way into being completely subdued by an unbearable level of social engineering and brainwashing. My name is Luke Thighwalker, and I'll be your host for tonight's listing. We've got a little bit of business. On the previous edition of Top 10 Worst Lists, we did Top 10 media invented / distributed phrases designed to demotivate us. And that was digging into the whole idea of how there's a widespread application of diverse weaponry that they use to destroy our souls, I guess, for lack of a better turn of phrase. One of which, as I spoke towards in the previous edition, includes idiomatic phrases that have been popularized, distributed by our overlords into our society that wind up having an effect of reducing our self-motivation, our self-worth, and it's I think better just to use an example. Ignorance is bliss. Now, where did that come from? How did that become popularized? And in what crazy world does ignorance equate with bliss? And I'm saying that since our benevolent overseers have full control of everything within our cultural landscape, that they are putting these things out there because they know that if they repeat it enough, that it'll sort of like a water table, like it'll sink in to our overall psyche, and people will, being a bunch of easily led sheep and lemmings, people will just simply absorb the identity of that phrase. They'll think that this phrase is known to them because of the truth, the intrinsic truth within it. They won't ascribe it to the fact that the aristocracy controls all aspects of the distribution of thought, be it from media or entertainment or education system. So they won't know, nor will they ever suspect, that the phrase ignorance is bliss has been artificially popularized because they want us to think ignorance is bliss so that we'll, in the chase and the propensity of our members of our society to find the ultimate in comfort, denial, detachment, that they'll hear, what was bliss? What did they say was bliss? I didn't catch that. Ignorance? Oh, sure, ignorance. Yeah, that's a good idea. Sure, I'll be ignorant. I'm totally there. Anything to get that bliss. Yeah. Huh. And then before you know it, people are gleefully ignorant. And just to keep themselves safe and comfortable, because like we all know that's the most important thing in life, to be comfortable. Oh. Shameful. ignorance is the opposite of bliss. The only time you can get hurt really is through ignorance. I mean, but it's a theme that they've been carrying around for, since the very beginning of civilization, the very beginning of indoctrination. The very first thing in the Bible, the first lesson they give you after on the seventh day he rested garbage, is Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve totally chilling out in the garden, doing whatever they want. Nothing, no worries. No, they are the apex predators in the garden, and they're totally, all nuded up and stuff. And it's all good, and it's just, they're wandering around, and, Almighty God warns them, dudes, like, you better not touch the apple. Where did the apple come from? The tree of knowledge. So the very first lesson that we're taught in Western civilization is that knowledge is bad. And then, of course, the apple gets eaten from the tree of knowledge, and right after that, it's the original sin, and we're cast out from the garden, and all suffering is created, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just regurgitating the liturgy here. But I mean, this is what they've been pouring into our skulls, and you see that by putting it in the very beginning of the Bible, that is the highest priority lesson that they want us to learn, that knowledge is not just bad, but it's the source of all suffering. Okay? That's how important it is look, I don't want to get into a whole big religious dealio that the Bible's bestowed upon us by God. You can fight that out with your best friends, your Bible study, and your local shopkeeper. I don't care, really. I mean, whatever's good for you is good. Do it. I mean, I'm not going to presume that I know any more than you. I'm just some weirdo on the tail end of his life trying very best to make the world a little bit of a better place for having lived here. But the thing is that even if it was the an archangel or the Holy Ghost or whatever that was, at some point, all those messages that are contained in the Bible are translated to the hand of man who wrote it. And the only people who could write back in those days were like the lackeys of the aristocracy, the very top, the tip of the spear, as it were. So those guys had like some really nasty agendas. The fact that life is in this world, the way all of these people throughout history have gotten ahead to become, rich people, is because they had less morals than the rest of everybody else. And not very few of them wound up maybe initially it was their meritocracy thing in action that got them to have some bucks, but that's certainly not the type of methodology that they followed after they had the big bucks. At some point, even the maybe good ones who had would have made good leaders through the just luck of the draw, would become corrupt to keep that power and to advance that wealth. So that's the only people that existed then who had the ability to write or to save these writings successfully from being destroyed. And that's the wrong class of people to trust with this type of endeavor. As more often than not, they're a-holes. okay? For lack of a better word, pardon my French, okay, for younger or more sensitive viewers. And I got, real strong suspicions that the translation might not have total fidelity. Even, again, this is on the outside. I don't know if this stuff is for real. I don't want to put people down. People spend their whole lives believing in this stuff. Who am I to say if it's real or fake or made up or manipulative? I don't know. But in case it is real, even in the best conditions, you're entrusting the richest people alive to have integrity. And that's a bad idea. And it really shows in the fact that the most dangerous thing to the aristocracy is the knowledge of the masses. And it just so happens to be the first lesson in their top level liturgical text. And it seems shady to me. Slim shady to me. Anywho, I didn't mean to get on this big, huge digression. What I wanted to say was that on the previous edition, I had the top 10 worst of list of examples of these things. The meek shall inherit the earth. Yeah, right. Slow and steady wins the race. What race are you watching? But there were, the minute I ended, the split second I ended the edition, I saw that there was a whole big list of honorable mentions of more of these types of phrases that have been placed into our language intentionally to dumb us down, demotivate us, and slow our roll in general. And I felt, wow, I mean, there's a lot of good ones in here. I should probably... So I've got to start off today's edition. I thought I'd list those honorable mentions. Now, again, these are phrases that I believe are intentionally inserted into the English language and popularized and spread around, are done so intentionally as a means of brainwashing, social engineering. And so I'll just, and I think that this is just one of many machinations. I mean, they put a bunch of the children of ultra rich people who have, limited capacity for a broad range of truly emotive abilities and experiences to draw upon, and replacing music with computerized software systems. There's Nicki Minaj's latest album. This is just one of many of these artificially manufactured stars. Had 40-something producers on it. Just to give you some example, not to be, reveal myself as the grandpa that obviously people will project on me as being, but the fact is that Sgt. Pepper by the Beatles, which is considered by many as a profoundly expressive production experience, especially, for the fact that they were working with 4-track recording machines and they've got all this diversity and everything like that. And it's an album that's been, listened to by millions for 60 years. Had 2 people working on it. An engineer, Jeff Emmerich, and a producer, George Martin. And then, Nicki Minaj's, one of her latest albums, has like 40-something producers for something that's as trite and disposable as the saran wrap on your Thanksgiving turkey. So, I mean, they've got a wide array of these, and then they have, movies that are thinly veiled disguises to uh, glamorize criminality, underage drinking, drug dealing, violence, and using movies as a means of getting us to pay for the weaponization of CGI technology so they could expedite the development of deep fakes. That's a whole episode of its own. I should do a top 10 list on that. And if somebody wants to remind me in the comments to do that, that'd be great. So I can just get on with what I was trying to get to from the beginning. The honorable mentions from this list of phrases that are infused into our lingo artificially is an attempt to try to demotivate us and steal our souls. Number one, kill or be killed. What are you talking about? Kill or be killed. It's like there's other things you can do to get out of many situations besides kill your opposition, even if they are trying to kill you. There are, you could be too strong to dominate. You could be, there's protests and various things that you can do collectively with other people. You can get help, so on and so forth. But the whole idea of kill or be killed gives you sort of a sense of escalation of violence, which never, I don't think anybody did anybody any good. An eye for an eye type of a thing is only going to leave everyone blind. Number two, sit there and take it. I think this one gives away a lot of what I was trying to point out in my long-winded dissertation about what this subject is. Sit there and take it is more or less telling you, number one, there's nothing you can do about it, so why bother? Number two, you deserve to be damaged or whatever, whatever the negative impact of the thing that you're going through is something, somehow you deserved it, or along those lines, or there's just, it's time to give up. There's nothing you can do. Just sit there and take it. All of which are really negative to the whole identity of what we should be growing towards in our lives. There's sometimes that you can see the injustices of the world, and you have an ability to be able to think, well, if I can see those things, I can see where they're coming from and everything like that. Why not just strengthen myself and work with others maybe and try and become too strong to dominate? But they don't have any phrases like that. All the phrases that we get on the user end are phrases like, sit there and take it. Make out like a bandit. Make out like a bandit. Number three is also very it's trying to influence us to think it's, again, sort of glamorizing criminality or a diminution of the integrity of a human being by saying that, make out like a bandit gives you the whole idea that a bandit's, a good life. A bandit, is stealing stuff, getting away with the goods. And even if somebody gets away, what's it like to live like that? What's it like to have to live in a way that, that the things that you're getting are because you're a sneak, or that you're a thief and you're stealing instead of growing and trying to develop something for yourself. And the easy path is almost never the best path. And it's a shame that we have phrases like this that mislead us into thinking that, because we get away, because we're a bandit and we get a big hoard of somebody else's earnings, that it's somehow good or beneficial to us. The good in life is really all about paying those dues, regardless of whether or not you get what you were really seeking, whether or not you get that goal or not. There's a lot of unfair factors in this life that are placed as impediments before us. And we might not get, you want to get, you strive for your whole life to become an independent musician, expressing yourself and following your own creative impulses and everything like that. And you work and you slave and you try and you sacrifice everything you possibly can. And you're in the perfect position. Then you find out, you take a look around you and the whole goddamn world has been shaped like MTV. And you're not a beefcake and you're not a young jailbait ready type of poser who's more fashion model than they are expressive and emotive human being. And those are the only types of people who are getting to the level where they can pursue those crafts for a living and indulge in that as your primary focus in life, to the point where you can develop it to its deepest possible conclusion. And what is the whole purpose of creating a world that's like that? Because it puts limitations on our ambition. It puts limitations on the depth of spirit that we can have as creatures, as seeking what the ultimate truth is in this world. It's really sad and it's pathetic that phrases like this and so much else in our society, all the movies and TV shows and everything like that. I'm just trying to drill down to something a little bit deeper here to give you a warning sign of the level that they will stoop to and to try and manipulate and compromise us, because there are the real rewarding things in life are overcoming those obstacles, trying in the face of impossible odds and still trying. Because I'm telling you, and it's not, I'm not the type of person you should listen to because I never really was successful at it, but I will say that I can look myself in the mirror. Well, maybe looking in the mirror is a bad metaphor. I can wake up in the morning and feel like I left it all on the playing field. And you can't buy that. You can't buy your own personal integrity, the depth of your own persona. And I'll tell you something else. I spent all my life sacrificing towards tilting windmills and stuff and whatnot. And so I didn't give myself the opportunity to be able to have deep and meaningful interpersonal connections, family, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But had I done so, all of those lessons, all of those obstacles that I tried to overcome, all of that builds character, builds depth. And that character and that depth are what makes life worth living, because you can take those lessons can be transacted in life in very real ways, unlike money, which can only buy you materialism. The depth of one's experiences and the strength that you get within yourself can provide an endless amount of support and wealth to those around you in ways that cannot be obtained otherwise. And you can use that strength to support and give comfort to those in your life who are worth caring for, and try to make their lives a little better. And that, not money, not material wealth, not nothing, that is what is the most important thing in life. That's what makes life worth it. That's the true value in this brief lifetime that we're allowed to actually have. And I don't know if there is another place that we go to after this or whatever, but I can tell you this, that the goddamn Lamborghinis aren't coming with us. If there is another way beyond this realm, and we go there intact, the only thing that we maybe bring with us is the content of our character, and who we are, who we developed. Maybe this life, maybe it is some sort of proving ground, a beta testing for the human spirit. I don't know. I'm just some guy, but I can say that you're not going to take your frickin' Lamborghinis along with you when you transmute to whatever plane might be awaiting us on the other side of Doomsday. Number 4, A Rude Awakening. So, I mean, think about what a rude awakening is, where all of a sudden you're confronted with something that you haven't known before, and you're made aware of something, and it's played out to us in the form of being something that will sort of cause a stress or damage and something. And that's what they call a rude awakening. Well, how come there isn't a benevolent awakening phrase? Because anytime you're becoming more aware of something, anytime, and this is it's a reality, and it's not another one of these fantasyland traps that have been set for us by our captors. But as long as it's something that's real and tangible, it's a lesson. It's a life lesson. It's valuable. It's an opportunity to strengthen your quests to being, endlessly learning and accomplishing and striving towards things. This is a beautiful thing. There is no rude awakening. Awakenings are always great. And that's that's part of what they're trying to, when they use the term woke as a negative, that's what they're trying to turn you off with. They're trying to turn you off with the whole idea that awakening can be rude. It can't be rude. It can't be. Just the quest for who you are, to some semblance of objective truth in this world of fairy tales, negative, imposing entrapment of fairy tales that they create for us. The awakening is a beautiful thing, and woke is a beautiful thing, regardless of, they've invented these things and they've tied it to negativity as a way of just another notch in the belt of the psyops pros who've been trying to defeat humanity and subdue it in the name of just having palatial estates and absconding with all the material wealth of this world. Number 5, oh Jesus. Turn a blind eye. Well, turn a blind eye is a very popular phrase and stuff like that. And I think it's trying to get people to, again, pay things no mind, that's going to get you into trouble, or it's not going to lead to any resolution, or, it's best to kind of save yourself or seek comfort, or turn your back on someone, and be a coward. It's encouraging you to be a coward. If y'all want to be a bunch of cowards, and it seems like you're ready for it. We live in a country now for 25 years with the Patriot Act, where it states that in order for us to preserve freedom, we need to give up freedom. And it's like, that whole idea, that identity, that mentality has become such an inexorable part of our personas collectively and individually as well in a country that it's like a country of cowards. I'd rather be safe than sorry. That's another phrase right there. Which I unfortunately don't have on my list. It's a great one. Because it exemplifies exactly what I'm trying to talk about. And that's, what are you sorry for? If this life is short and you're only going to have like maybe one or two opportunities to cash in on something meaningful in your lives, something deep, something resonating. I'm not talking about, cashing in on, making out like a bandit or, getting, a 12-car garage full of Porsches and Maseratis and stuff. I'm not talking about that kind of cashing in. I'm talking about being a freaking human being. What's the matter with that? When did that turn out to be something that's not worth pursuing? Choosing to be safe than sorry means that you're not going to get it. You're gonna. Sorry, I'm just gonna jot that down. Better to be safe than sorry. It's not better to be safe than sorry. Because you'll be living with sorry forever. Sorry will destroy you. Safety is you're never going to get it no matter how much you want it. They're always going to torture you at the very least. Our captors are going to torture us with the whole idea of a lack of safety as long as they're in power. And right now, it's looking like they'll always be in power. And why? Because all of us are busy being safe and sorry. Because they've imposed this identity within us that we can't think our way past. Because there's all these messages that they've infused into us at every turn, that we're immersed in this thing, even to the level of being in our language and we don't even know it. We don't even recognize what's going on. Better to be safe than sorry is the perfect example of it. Turning a blind eye. Well, you can live your life like that. Maybe you'll live to be 80 freaking years old. Who gives a rat's ass if you're just a nobody and a nothing? And then you go out and you're like, oh, I'm not going to have any of the, I'll not be taking any of your vaccines, monsieur. And all that kind of stuff where, you'll be the type of person that thinks you're worth a damn. Or I'm not going to have Bill Gates put a computer chip in my brain. First of all, who the hell needs a computer chip in your brain? They can read. They have software now that can read your brain from from a mile away with heat sensors that they just point towards your head, and then they know exactly what you're thinking. They've admitted that. It's not a conspiratorial type of thing. It's taking account of what's going on in the world around us. Above and beyond that, they've got this grid that they put together is so incredibly omniscient that they know more about us than we know ourselves. They know every transaction we do, every place that we go. GPS is in the cars. Our phones are eavesdropping on us even when they're off. And they've got, every transaction that we do is cataloged and indexed in a digital way so they can, red flag anybody that they want to. They know every single friend that we've got, so they don't have to have House Un-American Activities committees pulling us in to have us name names in front of the McCarthyism trials or anything like that. They know all of our friends. They know all of our thoughts. They know every email and text that we've ever written, every word that we've ever spoke is transcribed. So what do you care if Bill Gates wants a chip in your brain? Where are you going to run to? What are you going to do? You going to like overthrow society or something like that? You get a bunch of people, you have some place where you can sequester and build up vast amounts of, look at the American military. We spent $1 trillion a year on the American military for, I don't know, 60 years, something like that. And we've got the world's largest, the NSA is the largest branch of government, for Christ's sakes. Where do you think you're going to go with all this precious independent thought? You don't want Bill Gates knowing that you stopped at the grocery store on your way home and you got a little, naughty box of ding-dongs or something. You've got such an enormously overwhelming idea of your self-worth or what you can do, or, you just don't want to. And a lot of people be like, oh, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you got nothing to worry about. Well, people live there, something else. That's bold ink. Look, it contours everything that you say and you do. And Facebook, if they didn't want to stop if they didn't care so much about the innocent people, why are they actively promoting negative stories onto the top of everybody's news feeds like they admitted to about 10 years ago? Right? Why are they seemingly having people who are very aggressive who would, or bots or whatever it is, that would be extremely aggressive, insulting, and threatening, menacing even, who are always seemingly responding to anything that you post that shows any individualized, independent thought. And it gets to the point where you just stop expressing yourself, in many cases very quickly, because you just don't want to deal with having the negativity and the threats from people that show up every time you seem to, post something that's not a picture of your cat or your breakfast. And why would people do that? If the idea of, if you're not doing anything bad, then you don't have anything to worry about. Why would they be going after and attacking people for expressing individual thought? Because there is something about having individuals in a system like this that is still somewhat of a threat. So, I don't know how, but they still seem to want to inhibit that. And they know that if within the total absence of charismatic leaders, nobody can do anything. Nobody can collectivize around some ideas, thoughts, pragmatic plans, shaping an alternative form of counterculture or something that might be able to eventually rise up and provide some sort of equity for the working classes and the middle classes that have been abandoned for so long by the power apparatus and abused and exploited. Well, without those charismatic leaders, so that's why they took away the ability of, any charismatic leaders to have a mainstream level of distribution in our culture. They killed off every goddamn one of them, or marginalized them, or they came up with the weird psychotic illnesses that destroyed their creative vitality. And every single one of them. Every one of them. Go ahead, name a couple in the comments, and I'll try my best to explain how what happened to them is questionable. It's always questionable. Brian Epstein dies supposedly of a suicide, and even though he's managing the biggest band in the world, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest manager in the world, and he was responsible for, kind of guiding them into superstardom and everything like that, and he kills himself. Really? And then, as it turns out, the guy is so pivotal to the whole organization and the band itself that they fall apart within a couple of years after he's dead, even though, everything leading up to that made him seem like they were best friends for life. And then you have, a whole litany of weird people's deaths. There's a lot of about Malcolm X's death, RFK, the lady in the polka dot dress, and how come there's more bullet casings in the kitchen area where he was killed than the gun that Sirhan had would hold, and how come there's Aaron Schwartz, why he was harassed until he supposedly committed suicide, and then you've got Bobby Seale being bound and gagged in courtroom, and you got similarly Huey Newton being harassed and arrested. I mean, there's all these themes that Brian Wilson having a toxic freak out on an airplane, and then almost a year later, the head of the Byrds, the leading intellect on the Byrds, Gene Clark, had a toxic freak out on an airplane, neither one of them were ever the same afterwards, and the Byrds, by the way, a lot of people forget that one after another they came out with these intensely, the biggest of all time, biggest hits of a political nature of all time. And Turn, 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 that was a song that was written by an actual blacklister, Pete Seeger. And then you had Mr. Tambourine Man, which was written by Public Enemy #1 at the time, who was Bob Dylan, who was the greatest iconoclast that ever had, popularized distribution. And then following that, they had 8 Miles High, as 1965. Of course they got rid of those guys. And the key to the whole thing was Gene Clark. He was the brains behind the operation. He was God damn it. He was the glue that held it all together and kept the focus and whatnot. And, they got rid of him. And the same exact situation that happened to Brian Wilson as he was starting to, get it together and dreaming of bigger creative enterprises. It's just on and on and on. Every single one of them died mysterious deaths or were ruined in mysterious ways. And this is, your response to it has been so inadequate, underwhelming for so long that, I see people who will be like, I don't want no goddamn chips in my head, Bill Gates. I'm thinking man, get over yourself, okay? I don't know what it is. Stepping out of line. Stepping out of line is a phrase, obviously, teaching you to conform. There's so many elements within our society, big and small, that impose this mindset on us in a big way, right? I'm like, do I really need to explain? Just sort of don't make any waves. Oh, that's another great one. Wait, I gotta jot that down. Hang on, y'all. Don't make any waves. Don't make any waves. Don't step out of line. Here's the next one is more trouble than it's worth. Again, demotivating. Telling you, do not have ambition. Do not apply your energies and over time, because it is only through, we have, as an oppressed society, we only have a few options available to us to relieve ourselves of the pain and suffering and inequities that are included in that subjugation, among which are the masses, obviously, but applying our effort and energies over time. And that's part of why I get frustrated when I see people marching. Marching is like, no pun intended, the first step. It's really the smallest one. because marching will let people know that you're angry and stuff like that. But the fact is that these guys have got weaponry up the yin yang, and just walking around with a cutesy sign and marching and everything like that. And especially if you're one of those freaks who marches on a Sunday and then on Monday they take a selfie of themselves sitting at Wrigley Field supporting the Ricketts family, who are one of the inner circle members of the Trump regime that supposedly dark blue Chicago people would hate. And they're thinking that it's cool to share selfies of themselves at Wrigley Field and march the day earlier against the same people they're giving their money over to. That's how sad our situation is, and it needs to be much more complete. We need to not just spend that time taking those initial steps of marching on a nice day for a couple hours and making a cutesy sign and putting it on your TikTok and stuff like that. It all seems like fair weather protests to me, when you really need to be building institutions that you can apply energy over time. People showing up and passing out flyers about your institution so that you need to have, like the original MySpace was, where people can have a social network where you can actually network, and it's not designed to be a data mining operation for the NSA, and it's not designed as a brainwashing and social engineering device for MK Ultra or whatever the hell. And you can artificially popularize that by flyers and telling people and everything. And you need to have that so that you can collectivize without them manipulating us toward collectivizing. Like, it's the stupidity of people complaining about dive bars that won't pay them tons of money for them to do their hobby. And stuff, and to the point where all the dive bars are imploding, in large part because people are being so smug about getting paid while they're trying to develop their talent and following and everything like that. And it's not like the dive bars have a ton of money, and they'll protest against the dive bar, but they won't protest against Spotify, who's paying them 1,000th of a penny per spin, and they've got billions. It's prioritization, and that's, without the organization to be able to focus our energies, is all just going to dissipate, where we're attacking ourselves, or you got alt-left people who are, canceling people who will otherwise be allies, and attacking people who will otherwise be allies, and inhibiting our ability to be able to collectivize, which is the only weapon that we've got. And I've talked about it on previous editions where, they put up, they had sit-ins blocking the incoming feeder ramps to downtown on a Monday morning rush hour. And then they have just a bunch of people who just hate them. And this is deep blue city of Chicago. And they could have instead walked 2 miles over and did a sit-in at Boeing's headquarters in Chicago. And everybody would have loved that. Be like, oh, that's a good idea, because now you're actually protesting against one of the main defense contractors in the world, and that's something you can get behind. But instead, you block the feeder ramp so that people who might be open to being allies are now going to hate you and your cause forever. And because that's how people think. Unfortunately, they can't think their way past the damage that you caused them. And it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any long-term goals achievable. It does the exact opposite. So more trouble than it's worth is something, again, trying to get us to think that we shouldn't make these sacrifices, that we shouldn't try, that we shouldn't focus, and trying to make a meaningful change happen, and not feeling like it's worth the effort. Stew in their own juice. That's another one where you just kind of, it's like supposed to be kind of negativity, that you have to wait, that these things take time, that that you're stewing in your own juice. Well, this is, so you're getting anxious, and it's like eating away at you, and it's going to have a negative impact on your resolve and all those types of things. Wrong, all wrong. It takes time. Good things take time. That's almost a phrase. That's the opposite. But we really don't have, again, sort of an accident waiting to happen. So again, they usually apply this thing when you're trying something new or trying something that has any element of danger or adventurousness or something that's, untried before, being a pioneer. And it's all negativity on all that type of stuff. They're trying to inhibit our nature to make things happen for ourselves, and back the wrong horse. Okay, so that's another just another negative thing about trying to roll the dice on a long shot. The human race surviving with the amount of resources that we've given over to the overlords, and the various different types of things that we've seen happen to those who tried to follow their own path in life, being negative. It all adds up to the whole idea of that you shouldn't support long shots, that it will be destroyed, and backing the wrong horse ties in with that whole identity of trying to negate the long shot. The long shot is the only shot that we've got, because the AI cybernetic robots are going to replace us soon. I think all of this thing that we're looking at is all distractions, because once the AI cybernetic robots are online, the only reason that the ruling elite keeps the rest of us around is because they're like some kind of parasite that's been sucking us dry for all of the efforts that we create. They just take a big, huge chunk off the top and use that for all their luxury items and their opulent castles. And their opulence is the only reason that they keep us around. Once the cybernetic robots can provide the security and the opulence and, build a Lamborghini and do brain surgery, they're just going to get rid of us. We're really going to keep 8 billion people around just to sit around and do nothing? You think that they're going to do that? Is there any signs that you think that they're going to do that? Any of these creeps? That's the way the cookie crumbles. You get something that's good, tasty, like a cookie, something that everybody wants, for the most part, and you're turning it into something good. Will crumble before you, and you won't be able to enjoy it. Just negativity. Goodbye, cruel world. Why do we have to label the world as cruel? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not necessary that we need to measure our values based on either what their values are or what they've told us our values should be. I learned throughout my life, and I don't necessarily think that I'm a good advocate for this, unfortunately. But what I value in life is, real good, authentic music that inspires people, comedy, laughter, expressiveness, connecting in a deep, meaningful way with those around you. And that's it. Having enough to get by and to survive without, having to live under the throes of immediate torture and pain is always good. But, I've never valued the material items of this world, or the luxury items and things like that. So and certainly many people do, and they've been lured into that identity in their minds of what's rewarding and good in life, those gooses. But what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander, because I'm gandering at what they've got, and it's kind of skeevy. I would never, ever give up the harsh economic realities of my destruction and everything that I tried to do going with it, to be somebody who had everything all the time. Because they come out as being these gross, pathetic, snide, smug, self-imposing, spoiled jerk-offs. And, that's the worst thing in life right there in my book. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Well, but 3 lefts do make a right. I had a thing for this. I'm starting to run out of steam. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay, whatever. We get it. Yeah. I gotta move on. Cheaters never win. I guess cheaters never win. There you go. Let water roll off a duck's back. Again, just sort of denial of the things in life that teach us lessons. Why do we see them as bad? There's this old line that if there is a God, why do bad things happen to good people? And I thought about this because it seemed like an important phrase. I thought about this for a long time. And I thought, well, that's how good people become good people, is bad through overcoming obstacles in life, overcoming tragedies and everything like that. That is the source of our strength. That's how we become good people. And it opens up a whole idea of what life is really all about. Where, number one, first of all, if it's necessary for people to learn lessons in life in order to be able to develop that inner strength, then maybe there is a necessity for bad things in this world to happen, to be there, to give to that yin and yang of bad things happen that enables people to grow that intellectual heft, that emotionally resilient capacity. It grows all that stuff. That's where it comes from. And those are the best things in this world. And having that inner strength and being able to share that, again, with people in your life that are worth caring for is the greatest experience that this world can provide us. So, that brought me some comfort. And, I don't know if that helps you out in terms of your lives, but it sure helped me. And I really needed it because I got a lot of life lessons to work my way through. Throwing good money after bad, that's, again, demotivating you to not, try and put anything into ideas that are going against the flow or have long shots and things like that. Let it slide. Again, sort of, and telling people to negate things that they could be playing a role in alleviating problems or anguish for others. Leave it be, same type of thing. Let sleeping dogs lie, same type of thing. All right, so anyway, that's all the time I've got for this one. It's been such a pleasure. Keep in mind that all the people that were out there, the both of you, that everything I said here is just opinions based on not my own opinions, but given to me, bestowed upon me by Almighty God. And so live with it, deal with it. Hit me up in the comments. I love you. See ya.